So, I find myself back in Manchester for another episode of the Social Entrepreneur Podcast. And today, sitting opposite, I have a very good looking geezer. He is a model, he is an artist, he is an XFactor superstar, and he is now an entrepreneur. Today I have Mr. Bradley Howard. How you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, my mate.
Awesome. Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you for inviting me down to Manchester again. I'm finding myself up a lot here recently.
Yeah, nice.
So, as we do, is it Bradley? What do you prefer?
Brad, yeah, or Bradley, whatever you want to call me.
So, Brad, what I want you to do for me, as a bit of a tradition on this podcast, is we always ask our guests to do a little 30-second elevator pitch. So, just fire away a bit about you and who you are.
So, yeah, as you just said, Brad Howard. So, started, born and bred Salford, Manchester. Went through school, went to college, didn't really work out for me. Subjects and yeah, sitting down and listening to the teachers wasn't really for me. I was more on the creative side of things. So it started, left college and then fell into the nightlife scene, which was just pretty much getting drunk most weekends and having a good time.
Have you been a promoter or?
I was a promoter, yeah, at the time. This was before promoting was even a thing, so it kind of just like created a brand from nothing really. Obviously there was nightclubs and there was events, but there wasn't as such as a promoter type thing. And then I got approached. I did my 21st birthday in a venue in Manchester, and then I got approached by the guy who owned it and said, "Could you? Do you think you could fill it again?" So I was like, "Yeah, give it a shot." And then from there, for the past 7-8 years, from when I did my birthday, I was in the nightlife scene, jumping from club to club, promoter to promoter. Obviously, then you team up with people. And then I kind of just hit a point where I was just a bit bored of going out, and even though the money that we was earning was nice at the time, it just weren't enough for me. So I just thought I need to put something into something. So I kind of scratched my head a little bit and then made a decision to go down the clothing range, which was purely by myself at the time.
So that clothing range is called, and I didn't say at the beginning,
Sato Milano.
Sato Milano.
Yeah. Which brings us to it was around last May time. I was sat in my apartment and I just thought, do you know what? Let's give it a shot. I had a bit of spare money there, so learned the basics, bought the name, the domain name, which obviously was Sato Milano, and then just went from there. Made a couple of mistakes, like we all do.
So before you go into too much detail on Sato Milano, let's go back to Bradley. Let's go back to the beginning, because what I heard a minute ago was that you didn't really get on too well at school. Now, I was expelled when I was 15, so I'm kind of in the same realms as you. So I want to know a little bit more about the man behind the scenes.
So what it was with school, it wasn't that I didn't really misbehave. It was just purely I couldn't sit and listen in a classroom full of people. That was my only problem.
Short attention span?
Very much so, yeah. I just felt like I had to just be out there, and I was more into sports and, like I say, just
bored easy.
Yeah, more of the creative side of things, and I felt like I honestly felt like I wasn't really learning much. Again, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew there was something in there. So school. I mean, I seen school out, but it wasn't really for me. Went straight to college because my mum kind of gave me an ultimatum. She was like, you either get a job or you go to college. I was still in that young age where I didn't really know what was what. So, I went to college. College again didn't really work out, and then fell into the nightlife.
Awesome. And so I've seen from a few bits and bobs that you got into modelling.
So
do you want to tell us about that?
So the modelling started out. I got entered into a competition when I was around 20 years of age off a girl who was seen at the time, and then I stopped.
Who's the girl?
I'm mentioning no names.
Tell us about her.
Mentioning no names. And then it was weirdly enough because we stopped speaking, and then about 2 months later she messaged me saying, I put you into a competition, expect a phone call. And then Galaxy Manhunt, it was called at the time, I got a phone call randomly.
I am going to have to say for all the lads listening that you were dating Michelle Keegan, right?
I was, yeah. And that wasn't at the time, no, that was before it, but yeah, we can get onto that one. So I was So I did the competition, I got a phone call. I was live on air on the radio station, and basically it was a competition. 10 guys got picked, and you just had to get votes, and then whoever won the competition won a modelling contract with an agency called Nemesis, who I'm still currently with. So yeah, it kind of just all went from there, and that was then the start of the journey for me. So I was kind of juggling them both. I was doing the nightlife and I was doing the modelling stuff, so it worked perfect. Obviously, some weekends I'd have to behave if I had a big job on at the start of the week. But yeah, like I say, it worked amazing, and I'm still with them today.
Good. And when you did that, did that help were you big in social media? How old are you now?
So I'm 31 as it
31,
stands.
so we're looking 10 years ago. So where was social media then?
Instagram wasn't a thing when I was back then. It was more Facebook. So, and I didn't really capitalise on the social as much because we didn't really need it, you see. So it was kind of just one of them. It was more word of mouth. Now, obviously, it's massive. But again, Instagram wasn't a thing. So yeah, we didn't really have that. Do you know what I mean? We couldn't really use that. It was like, I think it was like MySpace and Twitter, all the old school ones. Yeah, from what I remember. But it was more Facebook. We used to set up a Facebook event, invite all our friends. Then they capped it on like 5,000 who you could add, so it would only reach so many. So that's when obviously then you build up a team, and yeah, I built up a team of, I think I had maybe like 10 or 12 promoters.
That's awesome. And was that around Manchester? Was that abroad?
We started off just around Manchester, then we ventured out into like Leeds, London way, and then I got into business with one of my friends called Matt Peacock. We created a brand called Geek, which was like a themed event. So we started off in Manchester, and then we did a few events out in Ibiza, Ocean Beach.
Nice.
Our friend who owns that, Tony Truman. So we did a couple of summers out there, and then it was one of them. It took me that long to recover from doing the summer. I just thought, this ain't worth it. I was coming home with less money that I went out with, so I thought, what am I doing it for? It's just taking years off my life.
So how do you think those guys are staying it, like Tony and Wayne?
I don't even know, mate. Some days I see it on the Instagrams and I just think, fair play to them, mate, because I could do one night now and then I go missing for the week, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've created a monster with that. So yeah, fair play.
So you're a model, right? And then you got into, or you obviously could sing.
So if singing
Tell us about that.
So going back to the singing was a strange one. Obviously I was with the agency, and the guy who owns my agency, Nigel Martin Smith, was Take That's manager. When Take That was Take That. And we got a phone call random one day, and from my booker saying, can you sing? So I'm like, that's a random question, where's it come from? So anyway, Nigel then wanted to create a band. So I come into the agency, and I was like, I've only ever really sang in the shower, but I'll give it a shot. So anyway, I went into this room with everybody who could sing. I'm not going to lie, I didn't know whether I could sing or I couldn't sing, but I thought, I'll give it a go. What have I got to lose? So then I sang in front of like 50 odd people in this like small little room. And then we did stage after stage. We did like some acting stuff and some like choreography. And then within 2 weeks, we created this band. And I was in this band called, at the time it was called Asbro. So it had a story behind it, like kids were coming off the streets and
what was it called? Asbo?
Asbro it was called.
Oh,
Asbro, yeah. So it was like he tried to create a bit of a story behind it. Like obviously that was like kind of the only option. But again, I obviously already had a business with the promotion, so it kind of got in the way with stuff because I couldn't really dedicate all my life to it. And I was doing better doing the promoting at the time than something that wasn't guaranteed long term. So obviously I followed up with doing the events, and I'm not quite sure whether the band's still going, but that's where it stemmed from me, which obviously led on to me doing a couple of covers and dropping them on the socials, and then obviously it getting a big impact, and then yeah.
So what was the XFactor experience like?
So it was random, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't planned. I literally left a nightclub, I went home, I got a shower. I remember texting one of my mates the day before saying, I'm thinking of doing it. I got on my couch and then I got a reply back saying, have you gone? And at the time I wasn't going to go, but I didn't have a good enough excuse to tell him why I wasn't going to go. So I put my phone on airplane mode, I jumped in the shower, I drove straight to Lancashire Cricket Club, parked my car up, I went straight to the front of the queue. It was about 5,000 deep, and I thought if I stand in this queue, by the time I get to the front, I would change my mind. So yeah, so I was upstairs and the woman was like, have you got your application number? I was like, no, because I've not applied. I said, I've just literally decided 2-3 hours ago. So again, from there, it created a story because they was excited as if, I mean, we've never really had that. People plan like the auditions a year in advance. And then
they love that type of stuff, a bit of audacity to just rock up.
Do you know what? It worked well for me because I didn't have time to think about it. So therefore, I couldn't work myself up. I just went in there and just thought, let's just give it a shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, within an hour of me turning up to the audition, I'm in a room with 3 producers. I got through that first stage, so straight away I thought, you know what, I've done myself justice. But then I wanted to get even further, and then they said, right, you're through to the next round. The next round's tonight at 8 p.m. So I had to lounge about all day. I had to then go and get a backing track to the song. At the time, I didn't even know what a backing track was. I ended up downloading this app and buying it for £1. Then I'm in the toilets recording this song that I was going to sing. It was a Stevie Wonder song. So then I've gone and met the producers again, and then he was like, right, we want to put you through. Come back in 2 weeks. So then I got a phone call, which then led me to doing the audition in front of the judges.
Awesome.
Which was random as hell. And again, it's just, when people ask me how did you feel, I can't even tell you how I felt, because it was just like it was kind of like an out of body experience, because I just think the adrenaline and the nerves rolled into one, and I just thought, do you know what, I've got nothing to lose. I've got this far, and I must have a little bit of something about me to get to the judges.
What judges did you have when you did it?
So there was Lua, Nicole, Sharon, and Simon.
Mm-hmm. I was reading a story about Nicole somewhere, or something that you said to her. What was that about?
Well, Sharon teamed me up. She gave me the food ball, so I thought, why not? So yeah. So obviously, I've done my audition, and I've seen Nicole just giving me the eye a little bit. And obviously, I was single. She was single at the time. I thought, what have I got to lose? And then Sharon kind of just she teamed me up, like I say, and she said, so do you always get everything you want? Me being me, just a bit cheeky, I was like, if I said no, I'd be lying, so Nicole can have your number. And it kind of just went from there. But again, that was the start of my story on the X Factor, because it was, they blew it up a little bit. And all the judges was amazing, which then obviously led me going into boot camp. Got through the first stage of the boot camp, which was at Wembley. And then I performed in front of 5,000, first time I've ever done that at Wembley, which was amazing. And then I got to the 6-day challenge, and then unfortunately that's where it ended for me. But I felt that was the right time for me to like, I'm honest about anything I do, and I felt that was the right time for me to go and then get the exposure and then go and create something myself.
Do you know what? Like, this is what I love about life, and this is what I buzz off so much when people just make that decision to go and like do something, right? So if you hadn't got off your ass that day on the sofa and just drove down there and gone to the club, right, you never would have, ended up in front of Wembley. You never been speaking to Sharon or Nicole, and it's just that one decision to change or to do something different can be the difference of staying where you are or 100%. Completely changing your life, right?
If I'm being brutally honest, that one decision changed a lot for me, hence me being sat here and you guys reaching out and obviously asking me to do this interview and me inviting you down into the store. The past 12 months for me has just changed remarkably. It's been amazing. But again, it's all stemmed from me gaining the exposure, for me having, me having the get-go in me to go and do something that, it's not that I never thought I could do, but I never really thought about doing it until I did it. And then when I'm in it, I thought, right, let's continue. So yeah, again, you've just got to make them decisions, follow up, and believe in what you think.
Love it. So anybody listening, if you're going to do something, just decide and just go and do it, right?
Do it, mate.
Just make that decision and do something different.
Just text your mate before it and let them know, so then they can remind you, so then you've not got an excuse.
You're one decision away from a completely different life.
100%. It's so true,
Yeah, awesome, cool. Right, so after that journey then, and the reason we're here to talk about today is Sato Milano. This is your new clothing line. Yeah. What inspired you to do it? What does the name mean? Where does it come from?
So, what inspired me to do it was obviously being in the modelling industry. I'm promoting for every other brand. Well, the brands that I get picked for the job. So obviously you meet some good clients and you learn a lot about the business. And then I remember just being sat home, and Il Sato means the tailor in Italian. So at the start it was more nightlife, like shirts, tailored shorts and stuff like that. And it went amazing for the 2 months that I was doing it, but I was on my own doing it, and then that's when the XFactor thing was involved as well, and then I had all sorts going on. So it was kind of I was trying to manage everything at once by myself, and I felt like I had to make a decision, put 100% into one thing instead of separating. I mean, the three. So Il Sato Milano, again, Il Sato means the tailor. Milano, I just tied that in because I thought it went well. That was May time. Did the XFactor stuff. That finished aired at like December time, and then Ross and Scott, as you know, who own the Couture Club, who were my friends, reached out and asked me what I was doing with the business. I told them where I was at with it, and then it was just casual. We had a little coffee and then just decided to go into business together, and hence why now you see Il Sato in the Couture stores, and we've got it's got its own dimension now, and it's building nice.
Yeah, amazing. And I think I liked what you said, and it's an important lesson for everybody to know that at the beginning, when you've got so many different things going on, that you have got to just pick one and go with it for a while.
1,000,000%.
I think everybody that starts out in this entrepreneurial world, because we're all so mental and crazy and ambitious and want everything, right? You can be very quickly drawn into starting this before the first thing is anywhere near ready to be left or only have a bit of attention. So
100%.
you're only going to end up building lots of little things that aren't really working, and then you're going to have to cut them off anyway and go back to one. So be patient for a while, spend a few years building your first masterpiece, and then only after a while can you start to branch out, I think is a very important one.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, it's obviously, like I say at the start, I was doing the modelling stuff, then I was doing, trying to create the brand by myself, and then obviously I was juggling it all with the music, and as much as I loved all three, it was unmanageable at the time, so I needed to make that decision. And then obviously, like I say, the boys reached out, we had a chat, and that's when I decided then to put that number one and get that going. And then when that's at a point where I know I can free a bit more time up, I can then go back to the music, or like I say, I would always keep in touch with the agency doing the modelling stuff, which I do. So now it splits nicely.
Yeah, and I suppose there's always that little bit of fear, like, if I don't do it all now, what if one sort of goes away, or it dies out, and that's sometimes a hard thing to contend with.
Yeah, of course.
But I think what people have got to remember is if you are you and you want to do what you want to do, those opportunities will always come.
100%. Like, it's like the opportunity with me going into business with Ross and Scott. That was a decision that it could have been a yes or a no. I was always going to say yeah, because like say, these guys have created what they've created from nothing, and Il Sato, for me, can't lose because they've already got it to that point.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just following up the ladder a little bit as such. Even though they're two different brands, they still got.
So will you continue to work together as a brand, but will you have your own Il Sato stores? Are you planning that, or will you always sort of
at the
work
minute,
alongside in one area, or just see what happens?
Well, at the minute, we're just testing the market and seeing our customers. So obviously we've got our own website, which is doing great, and then we've also got a wholesale side of it as well, which it's gone into 12 stores nationwide, foot Asylums.
Nice.
It's in the Couture store, which the Couture guys are opening more stores as well. We've got one in Dublin, one at the Metro Centre, and many more to come. And yeah, it'll be in them as well. So again, we're just testing the market and seeing what our customer.
So what makes somebody like Foot Asylum pick the brand up, right? Because there's an abundance of clothing brands out there at the moment. So did you approach them? Were you hammering down their door? Like, what do you think?
To be honest, with Foot Asylum, obviously, again, going back to social media, they seen us kind of create a story. I'm friends with a couple of the guys who work in Foot Asylum because I've worked for them with the agency.
Yeah.
So one of my friends reached out, Danny, and was like, talk to me about the brand. Obviously, we had a chat. We told him what the goal was, and he was like, "Well, we want to buy into it," kind of thing. And that was before the brand even had legs. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a brand. We just had the name. So for a company like Foot Asylum to show interest, that was a good feeling. So yeah, it literally went into there two weeks ago, and yeah, it's doing good.
Nice. So, I mean, I see from when we were speaking to Ross recently as well, and from what you were saying today, I think the message is becoming very apparent that it's also, and it always is in business, it's just not it's not what you know, it's who you know, and having those connections has really helped amplify what you guys are doing. And
100%.
How if you hadn't come from a modelling background, or you'd been on TV and you were just a geezer or a lady with a brand and an idea, would you recommend them getting themselves out there?
Do you know what it is? You just got to be persistent with what you don't need. Yeah, exposure is exposure, and you can't beat it. It's the best thing. I mean, if there's an opportunity there to gain exposure for whatever you're doing, go and do it. Do you know what I mean? Just do it in a respectful kind of manner. Like just go and do it. Like, you cannot miss out on opportunities. Hence why I went and did what I did with the XFactor. That was purely because I wanted to just gain a bit of interest as me as a person and the ideas I had behind that. So I kind of use that as a platform as such. But yeah, I mean, you just got to be persistent with anything you're doing, believe in what you're doing, and yeah, these doors will open.
Awesome, good. So, as I always ask on this show, I want to know from an entrepreneurial experiences, what's been one of your low moments in business that you've found tough and hard? Have you had any, and how have you overcome it? And also, what's been your, you know what, I'm proud of myself moment? I'm pleased with what's gone on today, and you're sort of celebrating about it.
Yeah, well, the low moments are the learning curves for me. Like, I just went into, obviously, the clothing business with complete blind eye. Like, I didn't know nothing about it. And at the time, you feel, because you might have a bit of interest on the social media that you put a t-shirt on and you'll sell thousands. It doesn't necessarily work like that as such. Yeah, it gains good interest, but I think you've got to have good content. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just sell it. Like, your product's got to be good. And at the start, I think the mistake I made was I bought too much of the same. So I was like, I come to a point where it wasn't really selling as quick as I wanted it to sell. So therefore, I then had to sell it a lot cheaper than what I felt it was worth. But when you narrow it all out, it all works out. But that was a low point. I remember at one point just looking at my garage. This is when I first set up, thinking, how am I going to shift this stock? And then it just started to go because I didn't take my foot off the gas. You kind of meet new people who kind of like show more interest, and they know someone who wants to buy it, and then gradually it kind of just like shifted off. But yeah, that was my low point. Just basically just buying too much of the same.
But lesson learned, right?
Lesson learned, massively lesson learned, yeah, and which then brings me to where we're at now. And this for me, with Sato, is probably the proudest moment in terms of where it's at. It's in the stores. It's nice. I've also got my face on the front window, just to kind of give it that little bit more exposure. So yeah, it's nice to see yourself in your own brand as well. And again, just when you see people and people, like now when I'm out or if I'm speaking to anyone, the topic is about the brand, which is amazing because it shows it's making that impact, and I mean people are showing interest in it, and then seeing it in the Foot Asylum stores, and yeah, as it stands, this is probably the proudest I've been in terms of where it's at. But again, it's just a start.
Have you got any Italian origin in you?
I've got no Italian whatsoever. I think I'm Italian. I think I'm Italian, yeah.
You think you're Italian?
I can't. Do you know what it is with Italians? One, I love Italy. It's one of my favourite places. I think they just dress immaculate. They just slick, sleek. I mean, they've got it going on. They're just cool. So yeah, obviously that's why.
Cheers, bro.
That's why. Are you Italian? Oh, nice, man. Are you not?
Half Italian.
Oh, you are. Wow. So you would have knew what El Sato means then. Yeah. I wouldn't even have to tell you. So hence why I come up with that name. And what the blessing about that name is, people only know what it means if they look into it. So what does El Sato mean? Do you know what I mean? So again, that shows interest, which is good for me.
Love that.
So yeah, the high point for me is where we're at now.
Good man. So are you single at the moment?
I'm single, yeah. 100% single.
And it's having your face on the front window, getting you some good game.
I mean,
you're obviously a good looking geezer anyway. I'm sure
it helps. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not going to rule anything out. But at the minute, I'm just concentrating on building the business, and for me, getting into a relationship, that I feel that can always be there. Do you know what I mean? Like, I only have one shot at this, and my shot right now is now. So I kind of just don't want to be distracted with anything. I'm not saying I'm not writing it fully off, but at the minute,
it's hard. It's hard, you know, when you're building your business. So when I started Improgas, I had a missus that I'd been with for 4 years, and I was 22. And after about 6 months, I was out 7 days a week, same old story, 18 hours a day as everybody is. And for me, it failed like very quickly because they couldn't keep up with it. You know, they didn't want me out of the house for the time. And then for a while, for those whole sort of 5 years up until pretty much now, it's just been dating. But you got to be 100% focused. Don't get me wrong. I think you got to fit time in.
Yeah, of course you have.
For dating and seeing, like, you know, seeing the opposite sex. And we said on the video before, these two are laughing because of a cool little video out. But you know, you've got to fit it in. But only now am I starting to like come back around. Whereas actually being on my own is for 6 years in business. Like I need something else now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I think it just it kind of brings that side where I feel like you need. Oh, everyone wants to be in a relationship and have a nice family, but when you grow in a business, I think 100% and every day and every hour of your life is dedicated. It is for me anyway. It's
you got to be immersed into it.
I'm up at crack of dawn and I don't go to bed till midnight, and that's purely because I want to do them things, because I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly doing something. If it's not an event, I'm going, we've got meetings somewhere, or do you know what I mean? We're just focused on the next step. So I'm not saying it will never happen, but at the minute I'm not really fussed about it.
And that's really what it takes. So for, you know, the guys listening out there, you know, you've got to be committed. You've got to be 100% in the game, right? You can't be 80% in. No. You can't just like dabble in it. You've got to be 100% committed until the end. Yeah. 100%. You know, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years, 10 years.
If you're only 80% in something, people know you're only 80% in it. Do you know what I mean? If you show you 100%, then that's when you'll see the difference for me. So what's your next steps then? Obviously you're building a Sato. Is there anything else that you want to do? Do you want to build a property empire? Do you want to do... Yeah, so obviously I've got El Sato, and then I'm still... it works wonders at the minute with me, because obviously I'm still doing the stuff with the music, and with the being more people on board now, I have a bit more free time. So if I have got to go into the studio to record a song, I know it's still going to get looked after because the boys are behind it, and then we've got a team full of people. So yeah, I'm still doing the music. I'm working on an EP at the minute, nice. So I think I'll have like 5 or 6 songs by the end of this summer. I did my first gig in Bath 3 weeks ago, which was amazing. So I'm finding time to get into the studio. It's less time at the minute because we're so hands-on with the brand, but I'm still finding the time. And I'm working with a good producer called Jazz Purple, and we've created. First song that we did smashed to number 3 in the charts, in the R&B charts, and that was the first time I ever been in the studio. So if anything, that gave me the belief to show that I can do it, and I will do it. EP will be out at the end of this summer.
Awesome, good man. Okay, so what I ask everybody on the podcast is, what do they believe a social entrepreneur is to them?
Social entrepreneur is, for me, it's sitting down, getting a pen, getting a pad, writing down your dreams and ticking them off. Be persistent with it. Be shrewd. Do you know what I mean? Be nice, but I keep your dignity along the way. Have respect, but I think you've got to be you just got to be hands-on with anything that you do, and you just got to get yourself out there, put it out there. At the end of the day, you can get out, but predominantly it's only you yourself who's going to get you to a position that you want to be in.
Awesome. It's probably one of my favourite bits of the podcast is at the end is asking everybody, because you get so many different vibes, but it's all sort of centred around the same thing. It is, So where can people find you?
So you can find it on our website, which is www.elsato.com. You can find it in the Couture shop, in the Trafford Centre. We've got one open in Dundrum in Dublin next week. Then we've got the Metro Centre, then we've got many more, but they will be revealed. You can also find it in Asylum, 12 Asylum stores nationwide. And at the minute, that's where we're at. But for me, for a brand that's only been going, say, 8 months, I'm happy at the point where we're at.
Awesome. Bradley, look forward to staying in touch, my man. Good luck.
Mate.
I'm sure you're going to conquer.
Legend, man.
Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you, bro.